You're tuned to KSJE, Farmington, New Mexico, 90.9 FM. And now 103.3 FM, K277CR, Durango, Colorado.
Hi, welcome to CopShop.
And we're starting with a soft hi, because
well,
we have soft music.
Was so soft and just pleasant.
Yes.
So yeah, it was just a soft hi.
This is going to be, ladies and gentlemen, a very soft version of CopShop.
AMSR. No, I can't. I'm too.
You turned into the right station. We just don't know what's going on.
I
today.
know we don't. It's welcome to CopShop. Hi, I'm Nicole Brown, PIO for Farmington Police Department.
And I'm Chief Steve Hebbe, and I apparently am being backed up by the Boston Philharmonic as they play our.
It was so beautiful. Scott did a great job picking out our music.
So Scott is, always keeping us on our toes. We've had a little copyright problem apparently with our Hill Street Blues theme song, and so we found a nice instrumental version of it to kind of lead us in a more relaxing and yoga-ish way of starting our day.
It was beautiful. And if anyone, we're thinking about changing our intro theme song, so if anybody has suggestions, send them in.
We'll take suggestions.
Check it out.
Yes.
See how it goes.
We can't change the end song. I Fought the Law just is...
That's your jam.
It's a personal favorite. I get sentimental. We sit here kind of quietly after the show and we just listen to the music. It motivates us to hit the streets.
That's right.
So we've had a busy couple of weeks, Nicole.
We have.
But not always in a good way.
Oh, it's just kind of been busy for everyone, I think. I think we're not the only ones.
No, I think that too. With us today to help us in some of the stuff that we've been doing over the last few weeks is Lieutenant Josh Laino. Welcome, Josh.
Well, good morning, everyone.
You aren't afraid of radio, I don't think, are you?
No, we've done this show a few times.
Very good. So Josh is here to talk with you a little bit about our WatchGuard camera system. And this relates to SB 8, the Senate bill that became law here a couple of months ago. And it mandates that every police department in the state have body cam system. FPD has had one now for almost 7 years. It'll be 7 years, I think, in October. And Josh is over the system that we are currently using. We bought a new system last August and began implementing it. And Josh has been working with our vendor, which is WatchGuard, and we're going to talk some about some of the issues that we've had as a department. I think people think this is just kind of an off-the-shelf thing. You buy a jacket, like Men's Warehouse, incidentally, which I think I'm fashionable today, and you just throw it on and you're good to go. And that's really not the way that these camera systems work. And Josh has really been working hard to try and bring it up to speed.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we'll go in depth into that, and we'll talk about some of our history, I think, with cameras as well, because I think it's important to recap, that we've had them for quite some time now. But you're absolutely right. When you switch camera systems, it's not like it just goes operational and works.
Yeah. And that's all technology projects of a large scale. I think probably Scott in the college can tell you some of the well, we're having one today, right? We aren't using our theme song today. So there's always little things that go wrong. And you try and adapt, and so we'll talk some about that. But in the news, we've had we've had a long 2 weeks really for law enforcement, which is following a long couple of months for law enforcement. Locally, one of our former officers, Zach Christensen, was charged as of Wednesday by the Attorney General's office with a variety of crimes, like 3 or 4 different charges, all related to the incident when he was an SRO for us last August, almost a year ago to the day. We had done an investigation internally. He had departed our department following that investigation. We had also had the state police come in and do an investigation looking at the criminal charges in that case. They worked with the local district attorney's office. The DAs declined to press charges. The Attorney General's office picked it up, and they decided that they were going to press charges this week.
Yeah, they announced it Wednesday, and it's, when it all happened, and we're so fortunate that we have our use of force review team, and they caught it immediately. And so we were able to, as an agency, be really proactive in taking action and investigating the incident and doing what needed to be done. And so it feels a little bit like old news for us, but it's something that it still impacts the agency, and changes that we've made and are still making, and so it's something that incident definitely left an impact on us as a department as a whole.
It did. It was tough days for us. Tough days for the family in that case. Sad all the way around. But we did want to at least point out that charges were brought this week. So that I imagine we'll watch over the next month or so and see how that case concludes. Nationally, it's also been continuing scrutiny on police, starting in Kenosha, Wisconsin, not far from where I was raised in Wauwatosa. Kenosha had an officer-involved shooting. I think it was Sunday night, if I'm not mistaken,
Yes.
and that degenerated pretty quickly into extremely tense rioting and looting that then culminated in a shooting where I think 2 people were killed and a couple others were wounded before I think both the National Guard and federal troops were requested by the governor there, and the president sent federal troops in to try and quiet things down. I think last night that things actually were quieter there in Kenosha, but that wasn't the only place operating last night. So we're going to have some video we'll play for you. This is U.S. Senator Rand Paul from Kentucky. It was following the Republican National Convention speech last night, and he and his wife were making their way back to their hotel when they were surrounded by protesters who began jostling them and their police escort. So we'll watch this for a minute. So, the thing that's so stunning about this, of course, is it's a sitting U.S. senator in Washington, D.C., walking with a police escort, and you quickly, if you watch all the video associated with it, you quickly come away feeling like the police are in a tough spot, trying to keep an important person in our country safe in a turbulent position.
Yeah, and the question that I ask myself when I watch it is, what would a protester have done if there was no police standing there? What was the plan to do?
Yeah.
And I guess I just don't understand exactly what the motive was to be that physical with a senator.
Yeah.
I don't know what the end game was there.
And honestly, it begs the question, it begs 2 questions. One, you're right, and although I think we're starting to see it a little bit, what happens when the police aren't there? Well, not much good, which frankly isn't a shock to me. But you saw it some in Kenosha. When the police were not around in sufficient numbers, things got ugly, and they got ugly fast. And then eventually people got hurt. That's the role of police, right? We're supposed to be making sure everybody's rights are protected. We're supposed to be making sure that everybody stays safe during these encounters. And when the police get overwhelmed, like Kenosha, they're just ransacking businesses, burning cars, and things like that. But the second thing is that this begs is, okay, so what's next? If we're gonna be attacking U.S. senators and jostling the police escort around them, where's the line that says we're not going to go past this? Because I think that line's still moving, and so at the same time that we're watching defund the police and certain scrutiny on police, and I get it, I do. We scrutinize ourselves as well, and we aren't perfect. But the institution of policing right now is really in a miserable spot. So I'm not sure really what those officers are supposed to do in that set of circumstances. You can't let the senator get killed or his wife get injured.
Yeah.
But yet we're watching the police like somehow the police are the enemy of the state. So it's really depressing times when you watch TV.
And it's something, it evokes really strong emotions when I watch stuff like that, and just everyone in general. And so I know everyone has to feel like they want to do something. Is there something that I can do that's going to help this problem? And something that helps me a lot is monitoring our social media, because it reminds me that our community really enjoys the relationship that we have with them as the department, and they really appreciate that. And so it reminds me that all of our officers, you know, our community wouldn't feel that way if our officers weren't out there treating them well,
Right.
and treating them with respect, like human beings. And so I always have to kind of dial it back down to, what does my community look like? And there's probably actions that we can take in our community that's going to help some. And so what are those actions that I personally can do? Because it invokes really strong emotions when you see those kinds of videos and see what's going on around the country. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
You know, it's such a challenging time for police and for police departments. We're trying to come up with good people to come work for us. We have vacancies right now, and yet, you know, the national dialogue is certainly not, oh yeah, let's support the police, go be a police officer, it'd be a great job opportunity for you today. And yet the honest truth is, right now is the time we need police officers. We need good men and women who are willing to defend their communities, just like those officers there in Washington, D.C. You know, you'll never hear those guys' names. They're doing their level best. That's probably the most disappointing thing, is we as a society are so quick to celebrate failure, and then not just celebrate it, but really ransack the tar out of it. And every day you're seeing circumstances like that, where our officers in Portland, in Seattle, in Chicago, in Kenosha, in Washington, D.C., and even here in Farmington, are doing their best to protect their communities. And they're just average people, you know. And sometimes they make mistakes. People do make mistakes, but oftentimes it's like what you see in that video. They're just doing their best to do their job, and so it's disappointing. But yet, right now is the time. If you've been thinking about being a police officer, I'm telling you, right now is the time to be a police officer. Don't wait till we're making $1 million a year. That probably comes with our next contract, right? When the NFL resumes and they start funneling a little more money to our police officers, roughly like their contracts. Don't wait for those days. You know, right now is the time your country and your community need you to be a police officer. And I'm telling you, you know, I'm proud of our men and women that are doing the job. And you're right, because they're doing the job well, our community does strongly support us.
And it's a great time we want our police departments and our people who are policing us to reflect our community. So if you're actively part of the community, it's a great time to become a police officer, so that we properly reflect who we are.
Right. So we have a special announcement today. Because of this, Nicole has decided that she is resigning as a PIO, and she's going to become a police officer for us in the Farmington Police Department. So congratulations, Nicole. Cut, fade to black, Scott, fade to black.
I am not brave enough. I'll just say that right now. You guys are super brave, and I'm not brave enough.
Well, you're brave enough to run our social media accounts, which are not always positive. So, so there's a measure of bravery in there. Don't underestimate it.
It's very different. Very, very different.
So, you know, with that big announcement, of course, behind us, let's bring in Josh and let's talk a little bit about SB8 and some of the stuff we saw. So, like I said, kind of in the opening, Josh, we purchased a $1.4 million camera system. It's both in-car and body cam, kind of state-of-the-art out of WatchGuard, a vendor that is used nationwide, but has others here. The sheriff's office has it in their video, or in their in-car video. I think Bloomfield uses it for their body cam. I'm not sure if it's also their in-car.
I believe that's their entire system, yes.
So, you know, so it's a national system. It's not like they don't do this, but we put it in, and as you know, we expected there were going to be some problems, and I guess that's been the caution that I've been throwing out to legislators and citizens around the state is, yeah, you can mandate that it's going to be done in 90 days, and you can even say that it's presumed bad faith on the part of the department if it doesn't work, but the truth is we're going to have problems, and we're trying to work through those problems, and we're at a year since we started to go live.
That's correct, yeah. I believe August 14th was a full year on the new system. You know, after being on the previous system for basically 13 years with L3 and about 6 years or so with the other body cameras that we have through ViView, we had a long history. And you take that, you upgrade it with a new system immediately, and $1.4 million was a huge investment from City Council and the City Manager and Mayor.
And our citizens.
Yeah, and rightfully so. I mean, you know, there's a lot of things that come with that. But you have a system that we transfer over, and it just doesn't work right away. I mean, not optimal. and we're a year into it now, and we're still working on some of the things that we need to work through. The thing that we forget, though, is that's $1.4 million for the system, but what about the infrastructure needs? What about the storage? As you know, that costs a tremendous amount of money. We hold a lot of storage, so there's lots of things where I don't want to say they're points of failure, but there's points of interruption that come with the system as well. So there are challenges that are always going to be there. You're never going to get past that. And the beauty of it too is, right, so we're updating a system that's 13 years old. Just like a computer, the day we buy it, it's obsolete tomorrow. So now we have a system that's now a year old, and it's not obsolete, but obviously there's advancements that have been made. Well, that comes with more money as well, right? And so there's been a few hurdles with it, and we're still working through those, but by and large it's a better system. It has a much better point of view at nighttime, which our old system did not. It was very hard to decipher things at night. This one has tremendous visibility. It has a panoramic option that we can expand, which greatly shows a lot broader view of what's surrounding the officers at the time, and our in-cars video as well. So it is a tremendous step in the right direction. At the same time, like anything, we're taking a step forward, half step back, step forward, half step back.
So, Josh, we have 130 about right now officers, authorized 135. That's what I'm saying, folks. We have openings for police officers. But how many cameras did we wind up buying then totally? Because I don't think our public understands what we do with cameras, who has them, and why we have the numbers we have.
Right. So roughly we have 120 in-car camera systems and 200 body camera systems. And so the beauty is that, unlike our old system, is our body camera and our in-cars, they cohabitate together. They sync together, they work together, they unify the video together, where under the old system, the body cameras were kind of a standalone to the in-car. So it's a tremendous system. But yes, we have 200 of them that we have out there for also our animal control, our park rangers. Everybody has those. If you're in uniform patrol, district coordinator unit, gangs, they have the in-cars as well as some of the other units.
So although we have 130 sworn officers, we are also putting them on civilians, like our park rangers and our animal control and code enforcement. So all of those people, that's another 25 or 30 by the time you're done with that. And then even our evidence technicians use them.
That's correct. So our evidence technicians have them as well. Anytime that they're in the evidence room, those are on. We also have a different camera system that's functioning inside there as well, so it's kind of a fail-safe to that. So it has a lot more opportunities for us, a lot more usability, and they're just a better system overall than what we had. But the old system was starting to fail, and so we're at the point where we are now, where we have the newer system. One of the things, though, I want to point out, though, Chief, that I think that there's a huge misconception that cameras are just going to capture everything, and they're two-dimensional, right? But the real world is three-dimensional, and so they don't capture everything that is going on out there. But like anything, they are susceptible to breakage, to failures, just like any other technology, just like any other computer or cell phone or anything like that. They can be disconnected if things are in a tumultuous situation, say hands-on situation where you're fighting with individuals. It's not uncommon for the cameras to be broken in those circumstances, which means you may only have audio that comes out of it. What's important is that the attempt to activate was there, and that those things were functioning, but they're not going to catch everything, but certainly they help tremendously, and they help with accountability internally, accountability to the public, which is of great importance because we need their support. We want it to be transparent. It's a big thing. It's kind of an independent eyewitness, if you will.
Sure.
And then the other side of that too, though, it brings greater prosecution, and that those that use body cameras, there's different percentages out there. We don't have specific numbers from our district attorney's office, but across the nation, the average is about 91% conviction ratio when you go to trial, not pleading and stuff like that, but going to trial with video evidence. And so that's an awesome thing. The other side of that too is, having been in internal affairs, and you worked in internal affairs yourself in Anchorage, a lot of complaints come in. Sometimes those complaints are valid, and the video and the audio will show that, but a lot of times it shows that those were not correct and not accurate.
Yeah.
And so it puts a lot of protection on the officers as well.
So, when we think about body camera systems, I think the public understands there's a camera system on the officer, and eventually, and it's recording stuff. But some of the challenges that we've had then is you're actually taking in so much video. So you have 10 or 15 officers that all come in to the station to download. And it's not just their body camera, it's also their in-car video. And so we have access points that begin the process of automatically downloading all of the video that we're recording into storage devices. And that was some of our challenge here over the last year is getting that to function in a timely manner and accurately.
Is definitely a challenge. And if you remember back to the days when we got the first videos, right, we had VHS cassettes on the trunk that only the supervisor could unlock, and that's how video was removed and new videos were put in to record. And then we went to digital media with CDs, and now what we have now where it's transporting from the car into the station through these access points. Officers never have any ability to touch it, alter it, do anything with it, even supervisors. There's a lot more security to that. But with that, you have a system that needs time to upload from a vehicle, from your body camera system when you dock it, and put it into the system, and then it has to do a process of routing. And so initially when we had it, there was a great delay, and I say great delay, but by hours, and able to access video that was recorded because it has to come in by how it's received. So there's no way I can say, oh, we had an officer was involved in a physical altercation, I want that video immediately. It just kind of puts itself in the fold by timestamp. But it's a tremendous system. It's so much easier because when the officers are in briefing and stuff like that, it's uploading. We're not wasting a lot of downtime. And if there are problems with the camera, we pump them into a pool unit and we get them back out there.
Sure. So we've got a lot of extra cameras as well. That was certainly something we learned with the last system. We had some camera failures. The battery life on these cameras is much better than our previous system. But like Josh was saying, sometimes officers they get into tussles or they get into foot pursuits, and the camera falls off. Cameras break. They're not they're not necessarily the most sturdy thing in the world, but they can break fairly easily. So we wound up buying a fair number of extra ones so that the officer can get back in service right away.
Yeah, they're not indestructible, and I think the public doesn't sometimes understand that. They think they have a camera. Why is it dislodged? Why am I only getting blackness? Sure. In a physical altercation, it's tight to your body, so that video is going to get ground out by a uniform, or the other person. So there's a lot of dynamics that come into it, but by and large, it's a great system. It's a great tool, and it allows a lot of transparency that didn't exist just 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah. So thanks for that update, Josh. It is a challenge for departments. They've got a short time frame here with this new law that they've got to get themselves up and running with a new system. But there will be problems. There will be problems, and those aren't going to be because the department isn't trying to do the right thing. And major technology projects with a lot of people causes issues. As a kind of final shot, we were looking at some of our Facebook messaging, and there's conjecture on the police and which side of the line we stand.
Yeah, politically, and I guess it's just important to kind of make that point of we're not political. A municipal police department isn't political. We're not left-leaning. We're not right-leaning. We are everyone's police department, and every single citizen has rights. And so oftentimes when we're called to sort problems out or to respond to things, it's about balancing, everyone's rights within the issue and everything that's going on. And so it doesn't matter about political affiliations. No. We're everyone's. If you are in the city of Farmington, we are your police department.
Your department, our community.
That's exactly.
And with that, let's all listen to one of the better songs that's ever really been produced, and Scott's going to cue it up for us. Thank you.
The fiery tips. I'm sure. I'm sure. I mean, that's the funny thing about Kansas. It's like it is fairly puritanical in a lot of ways, but there's also the kind of like equal and opposite reaction to that. And so you have like